is hard enough as it is, but making friends in the workplace brings a different set of complications. Now, studies show that healthy relationships on the job can improve your experience and your career opportunities. But what if you're not ready to be a social butterfly? Can the antisocial worker also thrive in the workplace, or is having friends the only way? Actually, Dr. Housman, we have here your blog piece, The Friendship Effect. It was actually written by your co-founder at Evolv, but you are the people who worked on the research that showed really interesting things about friendship in the workplace.
Statistically, I think we've shown that friendship is actually a good thing. People who are referred by friends to a job stay 10 to 20% longer than those that are not referred. On top of which, I think someone just mentioned online interactions. We've looked at social networking in the workplace, and somewhat surprisingly, we found that it's a good thing that people who are socially networked, that use a certain number of those networks, tend to be more productive. They provide better customer interactions. They're significantly better at sales type work. And so, the data tends to suggest that being friendly at work isn't just a positive in its own right, but that it actually promotes better workplace behaviors and performance.
Beth, you chose a field in which you interact publicly. If this is such an issue to you, why stay in that field?
Well, I think more of what I was saying in my piece is not that I'm against relationships or people. It's that kind of nagging and recurrent small talk that happens. Elevators are the bane of my existence, especially at my workplace, because you have these 3 to 5 minutes where you just have the most banal small talk with people.
And I actually want to make one more point that touches on something that Beth had said. So what we found is that this actually varies by industry and position type. So what we call the friendship effect is much stronger in fairly social types of roles like customer service representative and so on and so forth in call centers. When we look at things like long-haul truckers or even software engineers, the effects are muted. So I do think there's some support to the notion that if you're not a social person, you might not be penalized if you're in an industry or a role where that isn't necessarily prerequisite. So it's not as if you're necessarily doomed at the outset.
Dr. Housman, you also found in your studies that the friendship aspect of work didn't just affect the workers, it also affected the workplace profitability. So it's something that perhaps companies should strive for, or an environment like a lot of our commenters are talking about Google, for example, and also here at HuffPost Live, we have a wonderful community that strives for friendships, can actually be a more productive, profitable workspace.
Yeah, there's no question that people who are socially connected at work, they stay longer, they're more productive. I mean, to something that Shola had mentioned before around direct reports, it's interesting because these friendships, it might be a little bit more difficult to establish a friendship with someone that's either a direct report or a manager. But at the same time, what we found is that the best managers can keep people 5 to 6 times longer than the worst. And we think a big piece of that equation is developing those relationships and making sure that your direct reports recognize that you care about them, that you're interested in their personal development. So it's a fine line that needs to be walked, but it yields huge dividends when you're talking about how much that engaged employee can contribute to their employer's bottom line.
That is so true.